The massive creature slammed against the energy barrier with a thunderous crash that shook the entire research station. Dr. Minji Park pressed her back against the cold metal, her heart pounding as she watched the beast that had already killed more people than she could count. The thing was huge, 3 meters tall, covered in black scales that looked like armor, with 6 glowing red eyes that burned with pure hatred. Its claws were longer than kitchen knives, and every time it moved, the metal floor groaned under its weight. The scientists called it the Warbeast, but its real name was Vorthik. Nobody could pronounce that right anyway. "How many this time?" asked Commander Velta, his blue alien face grim as he stared at the creature through the thick glass. "3 more researchers," Minji whispered. It didn't even touch them. Just looked at them and they started screaming. They're still in the medical bay, but the doctors say their minds are broken. The Warbeast had been captured 6 months ago on a dead planet at the edge of space. It was the only living thing they found there, surrounded by the bones of thousands of other creatures. The coalition military needed an entire fleet to bring it down, and even then, it took special weapons that could block its mind powers. Dr. Crixival, the head scientist, walked up to them. His blue skin was pale with worry. "The Council is losing patience," he said. "They want to know why we can't control it. We've tried everything. Drugs, machines, even other psychic aliens. Nothing works." Minji watched the creature pace back and forth like a caged tiger. It never stopped moving, never rested, never showed any sign that it was anything more than a killing machine. But sometimes, when she looked into those 6 burning eyes, she thought she saw something else, something that made her chest feel tight. "Maybe we should just kill it," said Dr. Zivan, her crystal-like body clicking as she moved. "It's too dangerous to study, too dangerous to keep alive. The Coalition spent millions of credits capturing it," Commander Velta replied. "They want to know how to fight more of them if we find others. We need to understand what makes it tick." The Warbeast suddenly stopped pacing. All 6 eyes turned toward the viewing window where they stood. Minji felt a cold wave wash over her mind, like icy water filling her thoughts. The other alien stepped back quickly, but she found herself unable to move for just a moment. The creature's mental attack hit her differently than it hit the others. Instead of pure terror, she felt something else mixed in with the anger and rage. She felt sadness, deep, endless sadness that seemed to go on forever. "Get back." Commander Velta grabbed her arm and pulled her away from the window. Its psychic waves are getting stronger. The Warbeast threw itself against the energy barrier again, and this time sparks flew from the power generators. Alarms started blaring throughout the station. "The containment field is at 60%, reported a technician. "If it drops below 40, the backup systems will kick in." "What backup systems?" Minji asked. The technician's face went white. "The explosive charges, if the creature breaks free. The entire section will be sealed and destroyed." Minji looked back at the Warbeast. It had stopped attacking the barrier and was staring directly at her again. Those 6 red eyes seemed to look right through her, right into her soul. For a second, she could have sworn she heard something in her mind. Not words, but a feeling, like a cry for help from very far away. "We've tried 23 different approaches," Dr. Crixival was saying to the group. "Neural inhibitors, psychic dampeners, even bringing in a Corvan mind reader. The creature kills or breaks everyone who gets close." "What about the new human researcher?" asked Dr. Zivan. "She's supposed to arrive tomorrow." Commander Velta made a disgusted sound. "Humans, they just joined the Coalition last year. What could a primitive species possibly know about handling a creature like this?" They have some interesting theories about animal behavior, Minji said quietly. She was still staring at the Warbeast, and it was still staring back at her. Maybe a fresh perspective could help. Fresh perspective? Dr. Crixel laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. This isn't some pet that needs training. This is a psychic predator that has killed more sentient beings than a plague. It doesn't want to be understood. It wants to destroy everything round it. The Warbeast made a low sound then, deep and rumbling like distant thunder, but to Minji, it didn't sound like a roar of anger. It sounded more like a whale song, lonely and sad and calling out to something that would never answer back. I think we're on about it, she said softly. Ron Howe, Commander Velter, asked. I think it's not trying to kill us because it's evil, Minji said, still watching those burning eyes. I think it's trying to kill us because it's scared. The other scientists stared at her like she had lost her mind. Maybe she had, but as she looked at the most dangerous creature in known space, all she could think was that it looked very, very alone. The transport ship's engines made a loud whooshing sound as it connected to the space station. Dr. Sukihon stepped out first, carrying two heavy bags and looking very tired. Behind her came a small boy with bright eyes and messy black hair. Wow, Mom, look how big everything is, 8-year-old Jimin said, spinning round to see the curved walls and strange lights everywhere. Suki rubbed her forehead. She had a headache from the long trip from Earth, and bringing Jimin here was not part of her plan. But when her ex-husband got called away from military duty, she had no choice, no babysitter, no family nearby, and the coalition needed her expertise. Right away, stay close to me, Jimin, she said. This place is not safe for kids. A tall blue alien with forearms walked toward them. His face looked angry. Dr. Hahn, I am Commander Velter. I must say, I do not like having a child on this station. We have the most dangerous creature in the galaxy locked up here. Suki pulled out her permission papers. I have clearance from Coalition Command. Commander, my work with traumatized animals on Earth might help with your problem. Traumatized animals. A purple alien with crystal skin laughed. It was not a nice laugh. Dr. Zivan, Chief of Security, this is not some hurt puppy. Human. This is a monster that kills with its mind. Jimin was not listening to the grown-ups argue. He was too busy looking at all the amazing things around him. There were floating screens showing pictures of stars, robots rolling around cleaning the floors, and aliens he had only seen in pictures before. A small cleaning robot rolled up to him and beeped hello in Korean. Jimin giggled and beeped back at it. The child will cause problems, said another alien. This one looked like a walking tree with blue bark. Dr. Crixel, head scientist. Our work requires complete focus. The Warbeast's mind attacks have already hurt many of our people. Dr. Minji Park, the other human on the station, walked over to join them. Actually, humans seem to handle psychic attacks better than most species. It might be interesting to see how they react to the creature. Interesting. Commander Velter's forearms crossed over his chest. This is not a science experiment, Dr. Park. This is about keeping everyone alive. While the adults kept talking, Jimin wandered a few steps away. The space station was the coolest place he had ever seen. There were windows showing the stars outside, and weird music playing softly from hidden speakers. Then he heard something that made him stop walking. It was a sound like someone crying, but very far away. It was sad and lonely, like the sound whales made in the ocean videos his teacher showed at school. Mom, what's that sound? He asked. But the grown-ups were still arguing. Humans are barely civilized, Dr. Crixel was saying. They only joined the coalition last year. What could they possibly know about handling a psychic predator? We know about hurt animals, Suki said, her voice getting louder. And from what I've read, your Warbeast shows all the signs of severe trauma and isolation. It shows signs of wanting to kill everything. Commander Velter replied, for research teams dead. Dr. Hahn, for teams of the smartest beings in the galaxy. The sad sound came again. And this time Jimin could tell where it was coming from. Down a long hallway with yellow warning lights. The sound pulled at his heart like a string. The creature is completely uncontrollable. Doctors even explained to Suki. We've tried everything. Drugs, mind control machines, even bringing in other psychic species to talk to it. Nothing works. Have you tried just being nice to it? Jimin asked. All the adults stopped talking and looked at him. Some of them made faces like he had said something stupid. Nice to it, Dr. Crixival repeated. Child, this is not a pet. This is a killing machine. But it sounds sad, Jimin said. Like it's crying. What you hear is psychic interference. Commander Velter explained in a voice like he was talking to a baby. The creature's mind produces waves that affect our hearing and thinking. But Jimin knew the difference between machine sounds and sad sounds. This was definitely sad. Like when his parents got divorced and he had to stay at different houses where nobody understood him. I need to get Jimin settled in our quarters, Suki said quickly. She could see the other scientists were getting annoyed with her son's questions. We can start the briefings tomorrow. The child stays in the family section. Commander Velter ordered. Level 7. Section C. He is not allowed near the research areas, of course. Suki agreed. Jimin, come on. Let's go see our new home. But as they walked away, Jimin kept looking back toward the hallway where the sad sound was coming from. He had heard that kind of crying before, when he visited the animal shelter with his class. It was the sound animals made when they were scared and alone and nobody loved them. Maybe the grown-ups were smart about space and science, but Jimin knew about being lonely. And something told him that the creature making that sad sound needed a friend more than it needed scientists trying to control it. He would have to be very careful, but maybe, just maybe, he could help. Jimin woke up in the middle of the night. The space station was quiet, but he could still hear that sad crying sound from earlier. It was calling to him like a hurt animal in the woods. His mom was asleep in the next room. She had been working late, reading files about the monster they called the Warbeast. But Jimin didn't think it was really a monster. Monsters in stories were mean because they wanted to be mean. This creature sounded hurt. He put on his shoes and quietly opened the door. The hallway was dark except for small blue lights along the floor. Most of the aliens were sleeping, and the night crew was probably in the control room far away. Jimin followed the sad sound down one hallway, then another. There were warning signs everywhere, but he couldn't read the alien writing. The pictures showed scary faces and lightning bolts. But Jimin had seen scarier things in his video games. The sound got louder as he walked deeper into the station. Finally, he came to a big room with thick glass walls and yellow warning lights, flashing slowly. Inside the glass was the biggest creature he had ever seen. It was even bigger than the elephants at the zoo, black like a shadow, with scales that looked like armor. It had 6 red eyes that glowed in the dark, and claws as long as baseball bats. But Jimin wasn't scared. He could feel the sadness coming from it like heat from a fire. Hello, he said. Softly. The creature stopped moving and looked at him. All 6 eyes focused on the small boy standing outside its prison. Jimin felt something touch his mind, like warm water washing over his thoughts. It didn't hurt like the grown-ups said it would. It just felt curious. You're really big, Jimin said. walking closer to the glass. "But you're not mean, are you? You're just scared." The creature tilted its massive head to one side. Like a dog trying to understand a new word, its eyes blinked one by one, which somehow made it look less scary. "I know what it's like to be scared." Jimin continued. He sat down on the floor, crossing his legs like he did at story time in school. "When my parents got divorced, I had to go live in lots of different places. Nobody understood me either." The creature made a soft rumbling sound, different from the angry roars the scientists had recorded. This sound was gentler, like a cat purring but much deeper. "My name is Jimin. What's your name?" He waited, even though he knew the creature couldn't talk. "That's okay. You don't have to tell me. I'll just call you Buddy. Is that all right?" Buddy moved closer to the glass wall. Up close, Jimin could see old scars on its scales. Like someone had hurt it many times before. Its 6 eyes looked tired and sad. "Someone was mean to you, weren't they?" Jimin said. "That's why you don't trust the scientists. They remind you of the bad people." The creature's mental touch felt warmer now, less like a stranger and more like, well, like a friend. Jimin could sense feelings, but not thoughts. Loneliness, fear, and underneath it all, a deep sadness that had been there for a very long time. "I'm not going to hurt you," Jimin promised. "I don't have any machines or needles or anything scary. I just wanted to say hi." Buddy lowered its great head until it was level with Jimin's face. Even with the glass wall between them, this close, the boy could see that its eyes weren't just red. They had little flecks of gold in them, like tiny stars. "You're really beautiful," Jimin said. "I bet you're gentle when people are nice to you." The creature made that purring sound again, louder this time. Its eyes seemed to get brighter, like it was smiling even though it didn't have the right kind of mouth for smiling. "Do you want to sit with me?" Jimin asked. "My mom always says sitting together makes scary things less scary." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the massive creature lowered itself to the ground. It folded its legs under its body and settled into a position that looked almost exactly like how Jimin was sitting. "Good boy," Jimin whispered at those words. Something amazing happened. The creature's eyes got even brighter, and the sad feeling in the air changed to something warmer. Not happy exactly, but hopeful, like maybe things could get better. They sat together in the quiet room. A small human boy and the most dangerous predator in known space, sharing a moment of understanding that no scientist had thought possible. "I'll come visit you again tomorrow," Jimin promised as he stood up to leave. "If you want me to." But he made a soft sound that might have been yes in any language. As Jimin walked back toward the door, the creature watched him go with all 6 eyes, and for the first time since its capture, it didn't look angry or scared. It looked hopeful. The security cameras recorded everything, but the night shift guard was busy with paperwork and didn't notice the miracle happening in Containment Room 7. A miracle that would change everything the Coalition thought they knew about monsters, about humans, and about the power of simple kindness. The alarm bells were so loud that Jimin covered his ears. Red lights flashed everywhere as scientists and security guards ran through the hallways toward the containment room. But Jimin wasn't scared. He was still sitting peacefully next to the glass wall, and Buddy was still sitting calmly on the other side. "Get away from that thing," his mother Suki shouted as she ran into the room. Her face was white with fear. "It's okay, Mom," Jimin said without looking away from Buddy. "He's not dangerous. He's just lonely." Commander Velta burst through the door with fur guards behind him. All of them had their weapons ready. Impossible. The creature's psychic attacks should have killed the child by now. But Dr. Minji Park was staring at her instruments with amazement. Look at the readings. She said, the Warbeast's psychic energy is at the lowest level we've ever recorded. It's almost peaceful. Dr. Crixeville pushed past the guards to see his own machines. This cannot be right. The creature has been in a constant state of rage for 6 months. Not rage, Jimin said quietly. Sadness. He was sad, not angry. All the adults stopped talking and looked at the boy. Then they looked at Buddy, who was still sitting calmly like a giant dog waiting for his next command. How's this possible? Dr. Zivan whispered. Over the next few days, Jimin visited Buddy every morning and every evening. The scientists watched through cameras and took notes on everything that happened. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Buddy, can you stand up? Jimin would ask. And the massive creature would rise to its feet. Can you touch the wall with your left hand? The creature would do exactly as asked. Can you make that happy sound again? And Buddy would make his deep purring noise that seemed to fill the whole room with warmth. Dr. Minji Park worked with Jimin to understand what was happening. The creature responds to you like no one else, she said. It's like you're speaking the same language. We are, Jimin replied. The language of being scared and alone, through their daily talks. Jimin began to understand Buddy's story. It wasn't easy because Buddy couldn't use words. But feelings were sometimes better than words anyway. He had a family once, Jimin told the scientists after one long visit. But bad people took him away when he was young. They made him fight other creatures in cages while people watched. The scientists looked at each other with shock. Gladiatorial combat, Dr. Crixeville asked. But that was outlawed centuries ago. Not everywhere, Commander Velta said grimly. There are still illegal fighting rings in the outer systems. Buddy was trained to fight or die. Jimin continued for years and years. He never had friends or kindness or anyone who cared about him. When the bad people's empire fell apart, they just left him on an empty planet by himself. Jimin's voice got sadder as he shared more of Buddy's story. He was alone for 70 years. That's longer than my grandpa has been alive. He thought all people were bad because the only people he knew were the ones who hurt him. Dr. Minji Park felt tears in her eyes. So when we captured him and brought him here, he thought we were the same as the bad people. Jimin finished. He was trying to protect himself the only way he knew how. The revelation changed everything. The scientists realized they had been approaching the situation all wrong. Instead of trying to control or study Buddy like a dangerous animal, they needed to treat him like what he really was, a person who had been hurt very badly. But why does he trust you? Dr. Zivan asked Jimin. What makes you different? Jimin thought about it for a while. I think it's because I don't try to get inside his head like the psychic aliens do, and I don't try to control him with machines. I just talk to him like he's my friend. Human empathy, Dr. Minji Park said with wonder. We don't have psychic powers like other species. We can't threaten him mentally even if we wanted to. Him, we must seem safe. Commander Velta shook his head. A child succeeds where our greatest minds fail, and the answer was simply kindness. Not just kindness, Jimin corrected, understanding. But he doesn't need someone to fix him or control him. He needs someone to care about him. By the end of the week, something amazing had happened. Buddy had learned to trust not just Jimin, but the other humans too. Suki could sit near the glass wall without triggering his defenses. Dr. Minji Park could run tests while Jimin talked to Buddy. keeping him calm and cooperative. The alien scientists were amazed but also embarrassed. They had spent months trying to solve the problem with advanced technology and superior intelligence. A human child had solved it in days with something much simpler: the willingness to see past the monster to the hurt person and. "Ernest, what do we do now?" Commander Velter asked. Jemin looked at Buddy, who was watching them all with his 6 gentle eyes. "Now we give him what he's always wanted," the boy said. "A real home and people who care about him." 6 months later, the space station looked completely different. Where once there had been fear and locked doors, now there was laughter and open hallways. Buddy walked freely through the corridors, his massive form no longer scary to anyone who lived there. "Morning, Buddy," called Engineer Martinez as the huge creature passed by the engine room. Buddy made his happy purring sound and gently touched the man's shoulder with one careful claw, his way of saying hello. In the cafeteria, 3 alien children from visiting diplomats squealed with joy as Buddy carefully lifted them up with his great hands, holding them high so they could see out the big windows at the stars. Their parents, who would have screamed in terror months ago, now smiled and took pictures. "Gentle, Buddy," Jimin reminded him, though he knew his friend was always careful with little ones. "Remember, they're not as strong as you." Dr. Suki Han watched from across the room as she finished her morning report. Her son had become famous throughout the galaxy as the first human Warbeast liaison, but to her, he was still just a little boy who was kind to hurt animals. "The Council has approved funding for 17 more facilities," she told Dr. Menjipak, who was now head of the new Interspecies Emotional Intelligence Division. "Planets across the galaxy are sending their uncontrollable creatures here to be helped, all because a child saw past the fear to the pain underneath," Minji replied, watching Jimin teach the alien children how to pet Buddy's scales without hurting themselves. Commander Velter approached their table. The tough military leader had changed a lot in 6 months. His hard face was softer now, and he often smiled when he watched Jimin and Buddy together. "The new rivals are settling in well," he reported. "The crystal wolf from Sector 9 has started eating regularly. The shadow cat from the Rim Worlds actually purred yesterday when Dr. Kim approached it." "What about the sand dragon?" Suki asked. "Still won't let anyone near it except Jimin," Velter admitted. "But yesterday it built a small sculpture out of rocks. Dr. Zivan thinks it might be trying to communicate through art across the galaxy." The news of Nexus 7's success had spread like wildfire. The Coalition had always believed that advanced technology and superior firepower were the keys to dealing with dangerous species. Now, they were learning that sometimes the simplest approach was the best one. Dr. Crixival, who had once called humans primitive, now ran a special program to teach other scientists about emotional intelligence. "We measured intelligence by technological achievement," he explained to a group of new researchers. "We never considered that the ability to understand feelings might be the highest intelligence of all. The humans have taught us something profound," added Dr. Zivan during a video call with the Galactic Council. "We assumed that because we could build faster ships and stronger weapons, we were more evolved. But evolution isn't just about power. It's about connection." That afternoon, Jimin sat in his favorite spot with Buddy, a quiet observation deck where they could watch the stars together. The massive creature had his head resting gently on the boy's lap, a position that would have been impossible to imagine when they first met. "Are you happy now, Buddy?" Jimin asked, scratching behind one of his friend's 6 eyes. Buddy made his contentment sound, deep and warm like a cat's purr mixed with distant thunder. Through their special connection, Jimin could feel the creature's emotions. The terrible loneliness was gone, replaced by something Buddy had never experienced before, belonging. "I got a message from Earth today," Jimin told him. "They want US to come visit schools and tell kids about what we do here. Would you like that?" Buddy's eyes brightened, and he made a questioning sound. "Don't worry. We'll come back here afterward. This is our home now." Double quotes Dr. Minji Park found them there. An hour later, "Jimin, we just received word from the council. They're creating a new department based on your work. The Department of Interspecies Understanding. They want you to help train other children to do what you do." "Other kids like me?" Jimin asked. "Kids who see with their hearts instead of just their eyes," she explained. "Kids who understand that sometimes the scariest-looking creatures are just the most hurt." As the sun set through the station's windows, painting everything in golden light, Jimin thought about how much had changed. The coalition military still had their weapons and their technology. But now they also had something else, the knowledge. That kindness could be stronger than any gun. "The funny thing is," Jimin said to Buddy, "everyone thought you were the monster. But the real monsters were the people who hurt you and then threw you away." Buddy lifted his grate, and looked directly into Jimin's eyes. In that gaze, the boy saw gratitude, love, and something else, hope. Hope that there were good people in the universe after all. The most dangerous predator in known space had become a gentle guardian, not through force or technology, but through the simple recognition that every living being, no matter how scary they looked, just wanted to be understood and cared for. And it all started with a whispered word from a human child. "Sit."